Good evening, everyone. My name is Luis Perez-Bedia. I'm serve as chair of the Historic Districts Commission in Concord. Welcome to the April 20th, 2023 meeting of the Town of Concord Historic Districts Commission. The commission will review one continuance and two new applications this evening, and we will also conduct additional business at the end of the meeting. We're conducting this meeting online in accordance with the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Executive Order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law. The public may access this call through both telephone and video conferencing. Members of the public will have an opportunity to ask questions and provide public comment on applications and discussions following the petitioner's presentation and questions from the commission. To do so, please raise your hand in the participant function of the Zoom meeting platform. If you are calling in and cannot use the platform, you may raise your hand by dialing *9. Our host will mute microphones of those not speaking and in order to preserve bandwidth, and may need to turn off video with the exception of the commissioners, the host, and the current applicant. I will call on each commissioner for comments on an application and then open the meeting for public comment. Once there are no more public comments, I will ask for a motion from the commission to continue, to approve with conditions, or to reject. A second, and conduct a roll call vote. Once the commission has acted on an application, the applicant is free to leave the meeting. We will now do a roll call of the members of the commission. Kate Schartner.
Present.
Walter Clay.
Present.
Dennis Fiore. Is he muted? Yes, you are there, right?
Yes, I am. I'm unmuted. I'm here.
Okay. William Hewitt.
Here.
Paul Ware.
Here.
Timothy Whitney.
Here.
And I understand that Catherine Mast and Melinda Shumway will be absent. Is that correct, Ms. Clifford?
Yes, that's right.
Okay. Well, without further ado, let's start with the new public hearings, which are, the first one is Catherine Smith, 16A Walden Street, the Main Street Historic District, to install a new awning. Is Mrs. Smith here? I see her.
Yes.
Her name, but I don't see her picture.
How do I do that?
Can they hear you?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. I'm not sure why my picture's not there.
Well, you go to the right upper corner of the screen, and you may find a menu there that says turn on video.
I did that.
But it's up to you. We can certainly do it only by voice.
Okay. Now I don't know what just happened.
Okay. All right. Well,
Okay.
Well, welcome to the meeting. If you were to tell us what are you planning to do?
I'm trying to put a brand new awning up. Ours has been torn and ripped for a long time, so we wanted to replace it and make it look a little nicer.
Very good. And are we looking at the picture of the awning that we're planning to replace, or is this the awning as it currently stands?
This is a picture of the new awning.
Okay. And do you think we could go to Google Maps and see how it looks right now, or if there's a picture of the awning just for reference?
So that's the old awning.
That's
Oh, okay.
The
Okay.
existing one, yeah.
Existing. Okay.
Let's hold it up.
Perfect. Okay. All right. So it's a regular awning, measures the same thing as the one before. The colors, I don't think, are much different from the one from before,
Right.
etc. So it's almost like replacement in kind, other than the colors. Is that correct?
Correct, yes.
Okay. Well, if there's nothing else that we should know about this awning, then I will ask the commissioners for comments. Kate,
Good evening. The picture, hi Kathleen, it's Kate
Hi.
Turner. The picture of the existing awning, the red one,
Yes,
is it rolled up in there or something? Because it
yes,
does.
it's
look
rolled
different.
up. It's pretty
Okay.
torn and tattered. Yeah, it's rolled up. It's rolled up.
Okay, so this really will be the exact same dimensions.
Exactly the same, just slightly different colors.
Okay, fitting a shop named Blue, I suppose. So,
Yeah, we thought it should be blue.
okay, no, that's it for me. Thanks.
thank you, Kate. Walter,
Looks great to me. I have no comments.
thank you. Dennis,
Just clarification, on the portrayal of it in blue, it's very clean lined, which is very nice. But when you show a close up of what it looks like, it has sort of a rickracky front to the front of it. Which is it?
It's rickracky because that's what the old one was. So we were trying to keep in tune with exactly the old one.
Okay, so that sort of white banded front is the same. Okay, thanks.
Yep.
I have no comment on it. It's fine.
Okay.
As far as I'm concerned.
thank you. Bill,
Looks very nice.
Paul,
Yeah, I presume it's retractable like the old one from what you're
Yes.
saying?
Yes,
Uh-huh.
exactly the same.
Okay, yeah, I have no objection to it.
and Timothy. You are muted.
Thank you. It looks like there's sides to it. Is that correct? That hang down?
Yes, yes,
Are there sides to the existing awning now?
yes.
Okay. No, I think it looks great, and I also appreciate the fact that it kind of ties in with the graphics of the signage as well.
Yeah.
And I have no comments. I think that looks fine. So I will ask for public comments now. Any public comments? Well, in the absence of public comments, I will ask for a vote, and I will interject and announce that the voting members will be the full commissioners, Kate Schartner, Paul Ware, myself, and then Timothy Whitney. Correction. The voting members will be Paul Ware, Dennis Fiore, Walter Clay, Kate Schartner, and myself, the 5 voting members. So I will ask the commission for a motion to continue, approve, reject, or approve with conditions.
I move to approve the application for 16A Walden Street to approve as submitted.
Second?
Second that. Second.
Okay, I will do a vote from the commissioners. Kate,
Aye.
Walter,
Aye.
Dennis,
Aye.
Paul,
Aye.
and I'm an aye as well. So thank you very much. Congratulations. I will look forward to see the new awning.
Thank you.
All right. The next application is from David and Sarah Beanland, 428 Lowell Road, Barrett's Farm Historic District, to rebuild a fieldstone wall. Is the applicant here? Yes, David is here.
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Well, welcome. And if you were be so kind to give us a description of the project.
The project is very simple. We have a beautiful home in historic Concord. The wall is a mess, and we want to restore the wall back to what it used to be. And the fella that's coming out to do it understands the history, and he's doing dry stacked, and it's going to look similar to the wall that's on Liberty right down the road from us.
Okay, you have any plans or any maps or photos, the way it looks right now or otherwise?
Yes. I do. Oh, we do. Okay.
Okay,
My wife-
there they
my
are.
wi- Please excuse me, but my wife said 7 minutes ago that I need to jump on this call. So we have submitted everything, yes.
Okay,
And what I see there does not complement our history or the house. It's a mess. And we want to restack the stones. It's going to be dry stack field stone. And we're not sparing any expense to do this.
okay. And when you say that it's going to be stacked, is literally it will be a stacked, or will it
Stacked.
look like that, or will be a stack?
It's going to be double stacked, nice and clean with field stone. There will be no masonry, more, I'm not a contractor, I don't know, but there'll be no mortar or anything.
Okay. So it's going to recreate one of the original stone
Yes.
walls
Yes.
from colonial times, to say so.
Right now, it's just a mess.
Okay. All right. So I will ask the commissioners for comments then. Timothy.
Yeah, could you just describe, are you just repairing the wall along the road? Is that correct?
Yes,
And is there stone walls that surround the entire property pretty much?
yes.
Are they all, are all the walls in the same condition?
Actually, the wall around the house is in beautiful condition. It's been dry stacked. It's not historic at all. It's very high. It's quite lovely. What we have in the front doesn't complement the beautiful wall around the entire house, which was done before we bought it. We understand that the front wall is what you see, and the the stone mason that's coming out is going to replicate what it should look like. He's not copying what's around the house.
Yeah, okay, thanks.
And I'm sorry, I'm in northern Maine right now, so if the reception is
We can hear you well, thanks.
okay.
And there were two lines on the site plan that looked like it was just indicating driveway. Those are not walls. Those are just denoting the driveway. Is that correct?
Being honest, I don't know what the lines are, but
Okay.
we have two driveways. My neighbor's driveway and ours are very close to each other.
Ann, could you just bring up the site plan? There was a drawing that showed the location of the stone walls.
We're not changing any of the location of the wall at all.
Okay, so
Yeah,
those,
that's the driveway.
that's the driveway. Okay, thanks. And I just want to make the point. There was a sample photo of a new wall that I guess is being used as an example. This one, yeah, that's on Lexington Road, right down from where I live. Very large stones.
We're not going to do that.
Okay, so this wall is not representative of what
No.
you're doing? Okay,
We're using the field stone just like we would have in our house right now.
okay. So you're reusing the existing stones.
Yes, I don't actually like the wall that's shown there.
That's the extent of my questions. Thank you.
Thanks very much, team. Paul?
Is there any kind of rendering or photograph of another wall which is comparable to the wall that you intend to rebuild or erect? How do we get a visual on the finished product without? I mean, obviously we don't have the finished product, but there are walls, as I understood you, that are in the neighborhood which are comparable.
Actually,
Do we have a photograph?
I have 2 or 3 neighbors that have very modern walls, so the precedent has been set. We're just going back, we're using the same stones that we have. They're restacking them and supplementing those same stones with, within the guidelines for the height and width.
Do you have any photographs of the wall around the house, which I understand you to have said is not going to be similar to the new wall, but for purposes of understanding the continuity of the property, do we have any photographs of what's there now?
Whatever photograph we have, my wife submitted.
Okay, well, I think probably this is fine. I must say I'm a little uncomfortable not seeing at least an exemplar of the proposed wall. There's a photograph of a wall on Lexington Road, which is 3 stacks. So I don't know. I don't know how we're supposed to judge other than you're going to take the same stones that are there, restack them, and we all hope it's going to, I'm sure it will look good, but.
It will look good. I have 2 other homes that are historic, and I will spare no expense to make this look beautiful. I just want to clean up the wall so the stones that were there are not just spread, unevenly. We're not trying to change the appearance. We're trying to just restack what we have and make it look pretty. Because when you're in front of the house is historic, and you see this crumbled wall, that has stones down on the grass and, amongst the trees. We just want to put them back up, and that's it.
I understand what you're saying, and I'm sure that in the end it'll look fine. It's just that from my point of view, we have no predictor of what that's to look like.
I just told you the predictor.
And I'm just saying that for my personal purposes, I don't think that's good enough. I'd like to see a photograph of a comparable wall so that we can make some judgment about the continuity on the property and with other walls on the street. Not that I'm doubting that you're going to do the best possible job. So, I mean, those are my comments. So,
thank you very much, Paul. Bill.
Yeah, I first appreciate you're doing that. It'll be a huge improvement. I share the concerns of the 2 prior comments that the photograph that was submitted is not a freestanding fieldstone wall; it's a retaining wall, and you yourself said you didn't like it. And I think we would like to see a wall that looks similar to what you're trying to build. So.
Okay, wait, listen, we're done. This is a waste of our time. My wife will come around and show you the picture you want. It's a wall. I don't care.
Okay, well, would you like to have your application continued to a later time?
I would rather not. Thank you.
You want to withdraw the application?
Yep, thank you.
Okay, Anne, from our standpoint, can we withdraw the application in the middle of the discussion, or should we give the commissioners the opportunity to express their views?
I think if the applicant wants to withdraw the application and he said it at a public meeting, that seems appropriate. I don't know if you want to vote on that to agree to.
Okay, then, if the applicant wants to withdraw the application, we have no other option except to follow the wishes of the applicant. So if that's the case, then we recognize that the applicant has expressed his wish to withdraw the application. Therefore, the application is considered withdrawn. And I will ask the town planner and the secretary of the commission to acknowledge it. And I'll ask Paul for a comment as he just raised his hand.
yeah, I don't disagree with the chair at all. However, I think we should ask the applicant to affirm what you're saying. He does it on the record that he does in fact withdraw the application on the basis that you're suggesting.
Instead of just hanging up.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the issue.
Yep.
He obviously was piqued, and I heard what he said, but so maybe we should vote on it. Vote on.
I agree. the problem is that I don't know exactly what we will be voting on, except to recognize that the applicant basically disappeared.
Well, suppose, I'm just spitballing, but suppose one of us were to make a motion to continue this, subject to asking the applicant whether in fact he wants to reappear and submit, an amplified application, and if not, under our motion, the application is dismissed. But in other words, create a built-in option for him to calm down a little bit and come back to the administration of the office and say, okay, I'd really like to take another crack at it. I'll file some appropriate photographs and so on. Or we can just wipe them out.
He can just withdraw. We could recognize it's a withdrawal, and we all heard him say that. And then he can reapply if he wants to. I mean, can't he? I'm assuming he can. So there's a way in. Let's reapply.
I guess you're right. I know that's a point of contention, whether having people reapply for the same site multiple times. So, but I don't know. I leave that to the chair. I'll agree with whatever others want to do here.
I think we should err in the side of being conservative. You see, I think that while the applicant has expressed his desire on non-certain terms to withdraw the application, we don't have any documentation of that except the recording. So I believe that it would be appropriate that we continue the application, and that in the contingent to that is a motion that we send a letter to the applicant explaining that he must withdraw the application in writing, so we can consider it withdrawn, because right now looks like there are some other factors playing in the motion.
So I will make a motion if you. I'll try. I'll give it a shot if you want, Mr. Chairman.
Please.
So I move that we continue the application for certificate of appropriateness with respect to the property at 428 Lowell Road for a period not to exceed 30 days, or our next meeting, or 2 meetings from now, during which time the applicant must submit an amended application consistent with our requests here tonight, namely photographs of the proposed wall, dimensions, and the kind of detail that will inform us.
Any seconds?
I'll second it. I'd like to add a request for a picture of the walls that he already has that he does like.
All right, so I'll ask for a vote. Paul?
Walter has a question.
Oh, go ahead.
Is it possible to change language to may, that the applicant may rather than the applicant must?
Well, what I meant, I don't know if I said it, but what I meant was, if he does nothing within 30 days, then the application is dismissed.
Right, I understand.
So the obligation's on him if he wants this resurrected to act. Otherwise, it's dismissed of its own weight. I may not have said that.
No, I do understand what you're saying. I'm just rather than our enforcing terms, which seems to not be what he's looking for at this point, we can allow the possibility that there will be a reapplication. That's all I'm suggesting.
Well,
I'm fine either way. I think it's
I'm not against it. I don't quite understand what the motion would be, but
well, rather than saying that the applicant must submit, I understand the intention of must. The language for must submit is that it becomes incumbent on the applicant to continue the process. But I think what we're really looking for is clarity here, and were we to say that he may, it extends the opportunity to continue it. It's possible it needs just another line in there that he may continue, but if he chooses not to, that we are humbly requesting clarity of the position within the next months, please, sir.
Okay.
I think. Yeah, well,
And that, I don't want to belabor this, but that's.
Okay, I'm afraid I'm going to have to ask for a new motion because I think that we have been lost in a bit of a rabbit hole. Maybe Paul can rephrase the motion, and we can start from scratch.
I will move that we continue the application with respect to the property at 428 Lowell Road for a period not to exceed 2 meetings from now, the date of which I don't know offhand, during which time the applicant may have the opportunity, if she, he, or they wish, to amplify or supplement the existing application with suitable photographs and details regarding the wall, the proposed wall. In the absence of which, this will be dismissed.
I'd second that.
Second,
I
okay.
think you forgot the second request that Kathleen had about the existing wall.
All right, so now I'm going to go for a vote. Paul?
Well, I vote aye.
Okay. Bill? I'm
I
sorry, I'm
I'm
not
not
voting. I
voting, no.
apologize. Dennis?
Aye, can we modify this at this point? Because Kate did ask to see a photo of the other walls, and we should add that in.
Okay, we can add that in the administratively.
If that's added in, I say aye.
Okay. So Dennis is an aye. Walter?
Aye.
Kate?
Grudgingly, aye. No, really. I mean, if this were, if I were on my old Georgetown commission, which I know I mentioned before, there wouldn't be this opportunity. It would be like start all over again, but this is a nicer place, so there.
Well, I'll interject by saying that I am an aye as well. So the vote is to continue the application, and we will notify the applicant and provide the information necessary for him to make the right decision.
And we look forward to seeing his wife next time.
Exactly. Well, we have formally 2 continued public hearings, but I'm going to go first to Margaret Bruton, 286 Lexington Road, American Mile Historic District, to install a new addition, a new door, and modify the balcony. The applicant here?
I'm sorry, this application, she wasn't ready to submit after all, and so she would like to appear at a later meeting.
Okay, so we will not be discussing this application, and I understand that the First Parish Unitarian Church, 206 Lexington Road, the American Mile Historic District, has requested a review extension and continuance without discussion to the meeting of May 18th for the application to construct an accessible entry addition to the Rye Tavern, Pocket Park, and other associated landscape changes. So I believe that we should ask for a motion by the commission to continue the application of the First Parish Unitarian Church and have a second and a vote. May I have that?
I move that we grant the exemption to the First Parish Church. Extension to the First Parish Church.
Continuance.
Continuance, excuse me, not an extension, continuance.
Okay. Second?
I'll second.
Okay. Now, the voting members, Kate?
You're muted.
Aye.
Okay. Walter?
Aye.
Dennis?
Aye.
Paul?
Ungrudgingly aye.
Counselor, come on.
And I'm an aye as well. This is a very jolly group. Well, we have other business, which is Lauren Hewitt, 49 Liberty Street, Northbridge Monument Square Historic District, to change exterior paint color. And I don't know if we should, well, this is other business, so it's not an application, so I don't think that we need to have any recusals or anything like that.
I will keep my mouth shut.
I don't know why. All right.
Stonington Gray.
There you are, Ms. Hewitt. You are muted. Now there you go.
There we go.
There you go.
Basically, we don't know the paint colors that are there now because nothing was left for us. I am changing the gray, which is already on the house, to a very similar gray. Might be slightly lighter, but not really. The trim color is an off-white. Again, slightly more off-white than what's there now. The shutters will be a black green. The shutters right now are black. This black green really reads black. So basically they're exactly the same colors that are on the house now. Very extremely slight change.
You're just giving them an identity now. You're giving them a name.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't know what's on the house. There's no
Yeah.
paint cans anywhere. There's nothing. And we
Mhm.
need to paint everything all over again because of the addition and it needs it. So
Yeah.
I'm identifying colors, yes, but they are really pretty much what's on the house now.
Mhm.
So there's a matter of changing shades, to say so, right?
But not really. I mean, I shouldn't have even said that. They're really so close to what's on there. These are all historic colors as well.
Mhm.
Stonington gray is a color that a lot of people use around Concord. Charleston white and Charleston green are both historic colors from Sherwin-Williams. So
Okay,
that's pretty much it.
I will ask the members of the commission for comments. Kate,
No comment.
Walter,
I can't discriminate among those colors closely enough to have it matter to me. No comment.
Dennis,
No comment.
Paul,
I agree. No, I agree. Let me try again. No comment.
Tim,
No comment.
okay, and I won't ask for any more comments because we don't want to go into any record for anything. Well, I don't believe that there's any problem to approving this administratively. And if a member from the commission feels otherwise, I think we should discuss it. But I will check with the town planner and suggest that we approve this administratively. The changes are not significant whatsoever. It's in the house. The whole project promises to be a superb addition to the streetscape of Concord.
Thank you.
So if there are no objections to what I just said, then we will approve this administratively and go from there.
No objection.
No objections. Okay, good. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
So we have another business, but I saw somewhere in some agenda that there may be a discussion of two issues. There's one issue that I want to comment, which is that I regret the position that the previous applicant took in terms of the stone wall. But I think that we have to have a very formal position regarding stone walls. And I recognize Ann Clifford, who was kind enough to make available to all the members of the commission the book written by Robert Foreman about the stone walls of Concord. And I believe that it's not a very long book. It's just a few dozens pages, but it's very, very interesting. And it gives us a wonderful perspective of what stone walls are, which are so essential to the landscape and to the history of Concord. The other issue,
Go ahead.
is there any comments to that?
I made the
Bill, please.
available. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead, Ann.
I also made the book available to the applicant. Because I thought they might be interested. Mhm.
That's what I was going to say, that I'm sure that it was the case, but we were going to make sure that the applicant had it so he can have some reference about what are we talking about.
And perhaps why we're especially sensitive this evening.
Exactly. Bill, you were going to comment?
So the question I have is a general one, but I'll use this as a specific example. In each of these discussions, I would say 2/3 of the time, you learn something that had our instructions or our handbook included a specific point, it would have facilitated a discussion. And I've noticed that about several of these things. And I don't mean as a criticism of the handbook, it's just natural. As you do these things, you learn. And it just struck me, because I did go read the stone wall paragraph in the handbook, that, you know, a couple things it says, A, referencing that book, B, there's a difference between a retaining wall and a field stone wall that's pasture land, that the application has to include a photograph of a comparable stone wall in Concord, you know, whatever, 3 or 4 points that would add an inch to the space that's required in that thing, but would make the applicant, make the application process easier for them and for us. And I just wonder, what's the process by which we make those changes? I mean, in this day and age, that stuff is typically can be done quite quickly, but I don't know if it requires a commission and a vote and all that kind of stuff to make improvements to the materials.
Well, Bill, if I may take the question first, and then I'll, of course, all the other commissioners should comment as well. Ann Clifford and I have been working precisely on that issue. We have 2 targets. One of them is that we believe that the website of the HTC doesn't have enough information about items like this, and the information that it has, it's a little bit removed. You know, it's not something that an applicant can read colloquially and get an impression of really what is expected. You see, I think that for an applicant to come over and say that he's going to build a wall that looks beautifully like if it was made in colonial times, and then puts a picture of a wall that has absolutely nothing to do with it, shows that there's some massive degree of misunderstanding about what is expected. And that's one thing that we're trying to add to the website. And that goes to a number of things. That goes to information of windows, information on all kinds of things, and try to provide a sort of a more accessible picture of how the HTC works. And what are our deliberations? I'm sure that the previous applicant came over here expecting that he was going to say, no, this wall will look beautiful. And they were going to say, oh, that's great. It's wonderful. Do it. So we're working on that. The second part is that that book that you are referring to, it's possibly a replica. And I think that Dennis may be able to support this. I think it's a replica of the book that I received exactly 9.5 years ago. I don't think that the content has.
Yeah, you're looking for your.
Oh, there he is.
Oh, sorry.
We were spying on you.
Louis?
Go ahead, Tim.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No.
My question on stone walls, when I was looking at this application before it, we spoke to him, was historically what's been the commission's approach. If somebody wants to repair their wall, say on the street side, and as the other 3 sides stays crumbled, what's the approach? What's the more holistic approach you would take if somebody cleans up the wall so it's beautiful and perfectly square, and the other 3 sides are tumbled and maybe in a nice way? What is there precedent Because I expected that to come up tonight and the conversation got cut short, but I'm just wondering historically, has the commission discussed that type of issue?
I don't think that we have discussed it because I don't think that we have any right to address it. To see, the only thing that we can do is to consider an application that goes within our purview in terms that it can be seen from a public road. But it's up to the applicant to decide whether he or she wants to make a change on that. But every property owner has the right to have a crumbling wall and keep it as it is. You know?
That's based on visibility from public way. Right?
Well, we cannot go to a homeowner in a historic district and tell him, you know, your stone wall is falling apart. You have to fix it.
Right.
We just can do it. So if he wants to fix the front stone wall, then he makes an application. Everything is fine. But if he wants to keep the ones on the side, or even one that is on the front, but he doesn't want to touch it, there's absolutely nothing that either the enabling legislation or the rules and regulations or the guidelines say that we can force that change.
Okay. Thank you for that clarification.
Bill.
So this is in a sense different than the building code, which has that provision, which once you touch a certain percentage of the existing structure, the entire building code gets invoked for your entire building. So this is a different schema, is what you're saying.
You know, I'm trying to stretch the issue in terms of saying that the historic significance of the structure will change if you do such and such. Therefore, to keep the historic significance, you have to add such and such things. You see, and that would be the only argument that I can make.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I'm just trying to understand. Good.
No, but it's an argument that it will be sort of an ad hoc argument in the sense that by now I've become more or less familiar with all the documents that an applicant can consult while dealing with the HDC, and there's nothing that addresses that particular point. Mm-hmm. So it would have to be sort of a judgment call, and it would have to be supported by the arguments that exist in the enabling legislation to maintain the historic significance and historic references and so forth.
I think that stone walls have become a particular problem, and a number of times we've been, by not asking what Paul wanted, we've gotten into bad situations where we've gotten walls we didn't want. And I was involved with one of those. The example I'll quote is or talk about is in front of Emerson House. And those of you who've been on the commission for a while remember that whole intersection was months of dialogue to try to get the thing right. And on the plan was a stone wall. So we assumed, because the stone wall already existed, that they'd leave Emerson's stone wall. And I think we have to remember from the piece that Ann sent us, these are more stone piles than walls. The farmers piled it at the edge of the field. And the formalization is really a late 19th, 20th century thing in most cases. So what did the town do? They took Emerson's historic wall away because we didn't recognize in the plan that they totally replaced it. Take a look at that wall. That's a modern, tight wall that doesn't belong there at all. And they took away Emerson's wall. So I think we have to, and then there was the example of Peter Nicholas's property.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of.
They put up a farmer's wall. And of course, they got around that by moving the property line, so it was no longer in the historic district.
That's the one I was thinking of. So.
That was my favorite. So the walls are important, particularly if they've been there for a long time, and they're really stacked. And I think he was going in the right direction. We're just asking for more visuals. That's all. It wasn't.
Well, that was the thing. I couldn't tell if he was going in the right direction because then when he referenced, he said, "I have neighbors," so the precedent's already been set. And so I thought, well, if he's thinking of like Peter Nicholas's wall or whatever else, I want to know that because there are a lot of people who think rubble walls look unattractive and think like, you know, tidy fieldstone ones
exactly
look better. And there was no way to ascertain that with this.
That's why I said I think he was going in the right direction. I don't know, you know. So.
We'll give him the benefit of the doubt if he continues, right?
This is Kate's favorite applicant, I can tell.
Well,
don't go there.
No,
don't go there. Don't go there. But anyway, stone walls are a problem, and they've been too formalized.
Yes.
And I would share with the commission that Anne and I have been sort of creating like a punch list of things that need to be changed, both in the website and in the information for commissioners. And I will welcome, and we will all collectively welcome all the efforts of all commissioners who want to add to this effort, because I think that it will make the commission function in a more efficient way and with less frustrations like the applicant we saw today.
I'd love to help.
And Walter.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't get a chance to comment on the application when the application was under discussion. Well, a takeaway from everything that's being said here and triggered or reinforced by seeing the breadth of the historic walls that exist in Concord is that we are making decisions about an historic district's wall. And there is a significance to the different types of walls that exist across the town. And it's the wall, the construction of that particular wall in that particular place is saying something. It's speaking directly to the history of that property and that property line and its physical context. And that's, I think, what I would be looking for from the applicant was not assurance that it was going to be beautiful, but assurance that his wall builder that he brought in, who was going to do the right thing by that, actually was working with a model that made sense physically for what should be or historically had been in that location. And that's what we didn't get. We didn't have a picture. We didn't have a model of what was being aimed at for the new beautiful wall that was going to go in there. And I think that's incredibly important in the discussion.
Yeah, I agree. I don't want to belabor this, but one of the key factors is that authentic stone walls have round stones.
Sure.
Inauthentic stone walls have square stones, because the stones are actually the residual of the ice age rolling these rocks and smoothing them out. And so an authentic stone wall will have stacked round stones, and an authentic one will have squared stones. So his example he showed us had squared stones in it. So I don't know how he was going to, well, square stone and a round stone. I don't know, round peg. I don't know. Anyway, it was.
Keep your day job.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
there's also, that's a rubble built wall. You can also, if you are a mason, take a hammer and adjust things and create sharp edges and have things go together. It really depends on the location and the purpose of the wall and what's being constructed.
That isn't preserved.
I minored in geology in college, so I understand a little bit about how things break under hammers.
Okay. The other issue that we're going to was supposed to be discussed, but I don't know why it didn't make it to the agenda, is that I sent a sort of a memo or a letter about that had some procedural clarification of procedural matters, so forth. But there was also a section on us not being an architectural consulting group. And I'll be perfectly open to all of you. It was triggered by the discussion of the house in Lexington Road, where I thought that commissioners with the best intentions and doing the best possible recommendations from an architectural standpoint, we're talking all about good architecture, but not about good historic structures. And the only reason I mention this is because for the past year and a half or so, we have been burned a number of times by precisely this issue. The issue can be summarized by an applicant that says, you told me to put the garage on the front and I put it on the front. Why don't you approve my application? So I am very sensitive to any type of recommendation that it's not in the context of a historic reference or a historic district, or the historic references of the structures around it. And I believe that we should all be very sensitive to making recommendations that lack that connection. And I think it's very important, and it's difficult because there are some things that we want to say what they are, and sometimes they are very good, sometimes they are very bad. But we're just supposed to say, how does it fit from a historical standpoint? And that was the purpose of my comments. But I emphasize on that again because I think it's very important, and I'm open to comments and criticisms and. Hopefully you didn't fall asleep halfway through the document. Paul, go ahead, please.
Yeah, I don't disagree with anything you just said. I think where the rubber meets the road is the applicant who needs some guidance or is looking for some guidance. And it's in our natures to try to cooperate with the people whom we represent, who are our neighbors and fellow citizens. So we're often making suggestions, maybe a little bit off the cuff, which are not, as you're suggesting, specifically driven by an historic characteristic, but are driven by the group sense of what would make the proposed applicant's application closer to the goal line, So there's some tension there, but I think in principle, I certainly agree with what you're saying. I just think it's hard to execute because we don't want to appear to be indifferent to the applicant's genuine wish to improve their homes. And we can't always accommodate them in the ways in which they want to do that. But we want to be cooperative in the effort, and we want to, I think we want to send a signal that we're part of the community. We're not adversaries to these applicants. I mean, we probably shouldn't put that question to the guy that I was just talking to, but I mean, in general. Anyway, that's just an observation and maybe not a great one.
Thanks very much, Tim.
Louis, do you mind me asking which project in Lexington you're referring to? Is it
the one, the White House across from your house?
The Cape Cod.
well,
The
there's
Cape
two.
Cod with the addition, yeah.
The one that decided not to come tonight?
Yeah.
That's right.
Okay, right.
Oh, and just for clarification, it wasn't that she decided not to come. Her architect is working on revising the drawings, and so they just needed a little bit more time.
Bill? Oh,
I
sorry.
appreciate the note, especially as a new member. Any guidance from more experienced members is terrific. So thanks for taking the time to write it out.
Yeah.
I just want to emphasize in something that Paul said, which I think it's important for us as a commission, which is that the vast majority of the applicants see an engagement with the HDC as something positive, in the sense that it provides perspectives that they had not entertained and ideas that had not come to the forefront. So it's not only that it's a good attitude from our part to have, but it's also a necessary attitude in the sense that we just cannot be somebody who says yes or no. We have to offer some guidance because many applicants don't have the charge we have and don't have a clear idea of exactly how you create or maintain historic references. But on the other hand, the way that things are worded, it's so difficult because if you say, I don't really like this wall because whatever, then it becomes an aesthetic judgment instead of a historical one. But of course, aesthetic judgments need to be done all the time. And that's mostly what drives most of the decision. But I think that it should trigger in ourselves the need to associated somehow with a historic reference. I made an example of the colonial in a letter I sent last year, where one of the commissioners said, this looks like the roof of the Pizza Hut. And it was like, don't say that. Who say, I don't believe this roof with this horizontal the dimensions serves the historic purposes in the context of the colonial. So that is something that I emphasize because I think it's very important that we keep it in mind. So if there are no other subjects or issues to discuss, I will ask for a motion to adjourn.
I'll move that.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hey.
Okay, the motion is passed. Have a great evening. This is a record, 59 minutes.